successful and because that they make. I just don't care about anyone once I know. If I get failure, if I care about anyone once, that's it. Same energy, same thing, positivity. This is our job. And make it, bruh. We're just doing positive and doing positive lifestyle, brothers. Fuck people, fuck others. Just live positive. I always say that's the only choice. I always say there's no fucking way that you want to be a shortcut. That's I will success in 1 single second. That's not happening, brothers. It's a year after year. He holds his all corner. That's actually making success and better persons. I know it's everyone's doing it, brothers. And right now I have a lot. Doing something for my mental, just like all feeling positive and spread them for what's I doing for that. So I'm doing for right now reading noisily. That's actually help me to like work like my mentality detox. I mean psychological detox and all this. I'm doing right now a lot of playing flutes or I mean playing flutes or any kind of music instruments. It's also be help me to be a in my mentality, the calm and freshness every single time. I want to be every single time to maintain my stress level. I want just not want to be the higher stress. I also maintain my stress level always low and I always doing my best and I spread them all. I know that there is no using any kind of filter, no any kind of decoration, no any kind of lighting, but I know you actually holds with me cause of my authenticity. I know that's always doing good, always doing better. Always I will say that I woke up. I have two choices: failure and success. Always showing success, brother. I always say to myself, I am the most successful characters. Most of the successful characters. I am, brother. We are the most positive characters. All say it. We are the most positive characters, and we spread the positivity. This is our job. This is a revolution. This we all gonna make a legacy, brothers. We all gonna make it, bruh. We all gonna make a legacy. That's something just like a positive, just doing positive. Be a better person every single day and do everything. Success in every positive thing that you can do. It's not only one thing. Also, just not only one thing. That's I cannot sing song. I cannot do that. I cannot do. That's not, brothers. I can do everything. All six. I want to do everything. I want to learn everything. I want to be more wise, more productive, more skillful. I want in my life. Why I'm not doing that? So I also ask myself why I'm not doing that. I also say I'm do everything. I'm be success in everything. We will be the most positive characters, brothers. All says we will be the most positive characters who do everything. Let's do it, bruh. There's all what the fuck fear that's the count. Fuck them others, what their things, they think. I don't care about anymore because no one is just realize, no one is feel your pain. I all say no one feel your pain. It's just imagine, brothers. If you get any kind of illness, if feel just like in colon cough, any kind of several illness, you feel just no one is just understands what you feel right now. So this not matter. That's you cannot care about that. And you just imagine just you have no more hands, no leg. That's you think that's how you fucking your life. What's the fucking that so happens with you, brothers? That's you not work out, you not wanna be best version of yourself. What the reason, brothers? I always say that's no matter. Just all about your mindset. If you feel that day is good, that day is bad, that's not happening, brothers. Always it's all about your mentality. I always say that's all about mentality. If you feel that these takes the most foods I'm gonna make, I will be enjoy. That's this face with cool. I don't care. Honest feel that this is sex. It's not. If because if you thinking, if you comparison to other steps, with this cool is enjoy. No, why not, brothers? That's all says. No, never be comparisons for anyone. That's your life. You need to enjoy every single moment. Why you are not enjoying, brothers? Why you are not enjoying? All sucks you always, every single time. If you die, no one is care about you, brothers. No motherfucker care about you. So that's your questions. All sucks myself always. That's why I'm not injured right now. I don't care about anyone once. I will say this is I'm not care about. That's I'm gonna do for myself the better persons, and I always do everything for my science-based routine. I will say we make a routine that's actually a lot of science-based sincere, doing good everything, and always that's all the science. Cause there is no fucking failure. I want to be in the future. I want to be hold this current situation as long as we live. So if I feel that my voice is constantly like difference or anything is just like not adjustment and any kind of problems I feel, I just not think about that because there's no reason that's I think about that. Anyone thinks about me there's like kinds of difference with it. Because I know myself that I will be improve myself. I know that's how okay that's happened and happened. I will be myself better every single time. Let's do it, bro. I come back as soon as possible. I don't know if 2 just not streaming more than 1 hour more by streaming here. At least 30 minutes or 10 minutes from me, that's a call. And just spread them all across. This is my right now. This is the job. Do it, bro. Let's hold it. All say, brothers, fuck people, just leave you alive. All say, I don't care anymore. Anyone, this is a fucking guys. Let's do it, bro. Drink a lot of water, take orange. Okay. So that's right now. We can do this. So I'm gonna choose that for right now, like reading. I'll choose that for 20 minutes is enough for my mental to just like controlling my stress hormone. I will say I maintain my stress hormone. This is only one job I can do for myself. For my longevity, that's no fucking problems, no physical problems, no mentality problems. I'll choose these guys. You also can choose it just for 20 minutes and just for healing and also you can reading your every any kind of problem. I mean insecurity, I have some public insecurity, social anxiety that's gone. Also, these are gonna help everyone to improve your mental health. I will say it's just live your life to possible. What's holding? Okay, system with our status of the full line, showing each of the half of the lines is also the alternative. There being two of the alternative syllabus in the first half, first line, and one of the usually the first. In the second and the status syllabus is the one which is the beers of alternation. Other poetry, the pagan poems, the most of the whole of the English poetry can be said. The Christian, but a few of the pieces are distinctly secular. It should be the better in participate and paper them to national rather than pagan. For some included for the conveyances in these groups are the 10th century compositions, was the first traveler, usually considered to be the oldest poem in the language. It consists of nearly 115 lines of the verse and each which is a traveler more imagery than real. The records of the base of the illustrations of the people who have visited the poem is of the illustrations of the importance from a historical point of view, but the poetically is of the little of the merit. The welter of the consist of the two fragments of the sum of the 63 lines. I nail all of the telling the sum of the exploits of the welter of the acquaintance and the work of the vigor and the power, and it also show the greatly of the weaker of the regretted and that so the legend is preserved. It might all have been one of the finest of the native pieces. The fire is a fire the finest bar, and it is a fragment of the some 48 line with the final told descriptions of the fighting act. Famous bra and illusions, which is made of the frame of the episode of the behold and the battle of the Brandenburg bra of the splendid piece of the famous battle which is took place at 936 and 937. The battle of the Maelstrom of the describes the battle which is took place in 1993 and with the emphasis on the individual deeds of the valor and on the feeling of the warriors. It's a particularly outstanding for the sentiment and expressed by the warriors, especially those of the age of the Bertholds, the elegiac. This poem is among and which is our the owner of the saver. The saver we like white lemons and the husband message appears from the etc. book. This has no concessions between the individual pieces, but they each of the display similar qualities, being mediative in characters and can perhaps be called monologues. The first two names are the finer of the artistic compositions and the reaching the real heights of the personal feelings. In all English literature, they come nearest to the lyric and type, and which is not represented among the extant corpus and crowds. The so-called Cadmo Sedmon groups. It is the acceleration of the history. The bell tells the story of the lady of the brothers of the Sidmon who by the divine inspiration was transformed from a state of the tongue tried of the ineffectiveness into that of the political scarcity, and he was summoned into the presence of the abbess leader of the Wolfsbane in 658 became a monk and afterwards sang of the many biblical events, bed of the quartz and the ecclesiasticals of the history of the hand, which is said to have been the composed but still more mind of the light in the lane, and displaying to a remarkable degree the qualities of the repetition and the parallel pressing noted above. And this is all of that's actually known of the life and work of the Sedmon, but the four of the poem of the journey of MS correspond each subjects were made so closely to body and statements of the themes on which is a Sedmon wrote that they are long of the associated with this name. The Genesis executes of the Daniel and three of the shorter poems often considered as one of the or under the title of the Peace and Sudden are of the unequal merit and base they are extolled and speeded with some gift of the descriptive of the writing and choice of the incident, and also they are the curious perhaps and the biblical of the stories. They are certainly not by water and little if any of the is early enough to ascribe to Sedmon himself in all of the probability in spite of their long of description to his name, and they have nothing to do with the non-Tiberians poems. The Sino band group, the fourth poem of the Cardinals has the signature of the chantrol with the reading character, the Julian and the Christ and the face of the and apostles is the last two lines of the name was displayed of the chantrol. This was known of the poem and through the unfortunately it was not the favorite lyrics from the review of the traditional facts that Sabar Islam. Likewise, the poets have on the liturgies or no authority and being ascribed to him, and most of the important being the drama of the role and the roots and eventually the finest of all English religious poems in the intensity of feelings, brilliance or and conceptions, certainty of executions. It is a work for real artists and poets. The sign of the poems are much of the most scholarly compositions as the Sedmon poems, and there is a greater power of the expression, sure of the technique and real of the descriptive powers. The ideas are the broader and deeper, and a certain lyrical quality is found at times. That it is probably 9th century prose, Alfred, though there are the some of the prose writing of an official nature such as the laws, and before the time of Alfred, there was can be the little objection of the crime of the frequently made for him that so these were great. It's a brother of the English prose as himself tells us in the preface of the pastoral care of the beginning is a series of the transitional of the translations to do of the limitables of the shapes of the English learning of the largely The result of the deprivation of the giants and even the knowledge of the Latin was declining. So the king, in order to encourage learning among the clergy, translated some popular books into his own tongue. These works are easier contributions to our literature. Sometimes the translated works for the words and others more freely, but those passages which have the greatest value both for an understanding of the characters of the king and also for their literary qualities are original freely and reduced by way of the pastoral care of the people of the church. Gregory and the history of the world of the original and a bit of the ecclesiastical history, the Bothias of the consolidation of the consolations of the philosophy and the soliloquy of the H.T. Augustus through each of the disputed. There is an edition and the handbook of the commonplace, a book of the existence of which is we know from the Esther the kings of the biographer, but which is no longer extends the chronological certainty, the certainty of though the exactly of the pastoral core of the first of this soliloquies, the last of the series, the last of the series very extract is given below to illustrate this his prose style, but it should be remembered that that this is a form of the earliest work and the comparison should be the made with the preface and the soliloquies to see the developments. It is not still polished style, but the concept, but that cannot be expected in the view of the stage of the development. So the post as a literary form. For the most of the part, it's a simple, the straightforward style, and though the Alfred never completely mastered it, there is always the feeling that she was artistic and considered the natural ability, and though the idol of this speculate about what he would have the produces and we lived at a later of the periods when it's more of the highly developed poesy of the styles are being over and evolved and it's a clear of okay I'm losing so completely has its learning on this side of the England, and that's where the very few on his side of the Humber who had could understand their mass books of English. And translated later from the Latin English into an I could even translate it later from the Latin into the English, and I believe that there are not many of the bands that Humber, and it does so few of them were. There is a cannot remember a single one sound of the themes. When become a king, it's to God the Almighty. Be the thanks, or you have been now any of the supply of the teacher, and therefore I commend you that you do as I believe you will. Reference to the pastoral care, the Alfred of the probably the best or known Father Kamar was a churchman who became a boss of the analysis of the 1005 and several of his work are extends Catholic of the homilies, two series of the sermons, syllables for the delivered by the poetics, a third story, the third series of the leaves of the Saint written in before and written in age and translations from the scripture of the Alfred of the following the vigorous style of the known as a remarkable skill in the art of the putting the complicated though into the narrative poems. It is as naturally and it's easy to that often the alternative this is a chronicle is a great interested as a dialogue between the master and purpose not only from the literary but also have the historical point of view. And Woolston, and these was a bishop or ancestor of the architecture of the Rio, and several of his sign of the homage of the Sarah, there are the many of the more of the which are the belief on gods and evidence to be by him, and his most of the famous piece of the Sharmo, Lippi and Joe and who also just a topic for a cheer reports and figure. It's a repetition of idols and it's an alternative nature of the styles. It's a fluent and a powerful instincts in need of the old style or must have been a most of the billion picture. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicles was in all probability inspired by the Alfred, who himself may well have the direct and directed and some of the entries and entires and more particularly whose of the dealing with his own campaign. It is explained in several manuscripts. The most of the importance of being there. The A and Parker and E or the loud or MSS to the year of the 915. Much of the material of is common to most of the manuscripts, though the relations are the relation of which is the individual or of the others present serious difficulties, local events, and the miscellaneous idea of the introduced into the various versions. And they also shows clearly and bearing the points of view in the attitude or events they all in the different states and latest being 1154 as it's expected. The style of the various of the vary from the simple notice to long of passages of the narrative and description. Most of the interesting and started character studies are particularly that of the conqueror of the themselves. Well known of the description of the horrors of the statement read of the oldie of known a brief extent of from of description of William the Conqueror written in the annal of the 186 to indicate fairly clearly started of the stylistic feature of the later part of the chronicle. King William, of whom he had spoken, was a very wise man and very powerful and more glorious and stronger than were any of the kind. His predecessor, he was a meal to the goal. Good man who loved God and the bind of the measure stand of those men who pace his way at the same place where God granted him that he would should conquer England. He established a glorious monastery as established monks and the endurance it is the days and illustration of the monastery was built in the contemporary and also very many others overall England. The developments of the literary form during this period, all English literature undergoes a noticeable development. So it will be the remember that it's a result of hundreds of years of the slow growth, and it's impossible to divide the types of the birds example into the defined what are types of compartment. The poetry appears earlier than prose, and the heroic tribes of the Bill, Wolford, and the Farnborough and Pharisees of the throughout the fields for similar qualities are found in the poem also later of the Battle of the Malzones and the epic exists, and one of the which from the Bill, which is the last of the finer qualities of the classical epic security and high dignity and the power of the motive and through its process and vigor and majesty which is have the obvious appeal. The so-called Christian epics have little of the crime and so the little of the should not be the considerable here. The lyrics has no real example in the Old English, though there are certain poems which have the some of the expressive of the melancholy and personal emotions associated with the lyric logic and easy, the orator and the serifra and the prose. Although the much of the old English words consist of the translations from the Latin and so is clearly influenced by the original and is by no means of the character or consider the prose of the periods is lacking of the originality or personal qualities, the homilies and altering of the works and beginning of the true line of the developments to the prose of the authorities versus the beginning of the historical writing are to be seen in the Anglo-Saxon chronicles and developments to the clear is clear by the comparisons between the control and the chancellor of the episodes in the annual of 755 and the letter of the annals of the EMAs. All states are doing goods is at only the job, brothers. Doing goods, all states. We can do everything, doing positive. Love these guys, this is fucking that's all states. Huh? How come? Fucking good, brothers. I don't care anymore. I just drink goods, live goods, drink positive. Okay, bro. Bahadır Ayşe'yle? Bahadır Ayşe'yle? Şahada aşağıda. Fuck them all, brothers. I can tweet one time means let's go. It's too bad. Fuck them up. Let's hear it. Fuck. 9 minutes is enough for that. I know. There's no words. Fuck them all, brothers. Just compete. That's it. Let's enjoy and more successful with us. The development of the literary style, the poetry, a comparisons is between the so-called symbol and the chants often and poems whose is clarified developments in the technique and there is an easiest and flow of the letter of the poet in general. A greater and sureness in stylistic materials, greater individuality of approaches, and feeling less of the reliance on reliance on strong of the fishes and more of the substance and use of the alliterations and a greater despair of the stylistic effect. And this is a natural development of literature, and though the alternative and style of the poetry was apparently so received the depth of the growth of none of the consequence of flourishing of the similar type of the 14th of the century shows that he saw more of the appearance and real and prose in spite of the immediate scope of the vehicles in the main of the homily and the history of writing a great advancing. Okay, so I hope these guys all said doing good is that's only choice. Do good. Live a good life. Better life. Successful life. Fucking good. Fucking bastards. See you soon in tune.